Hello, and welcome back to Full Time, presented by Amazon Prime. I am Tamerra Griffin, and this week we have a special feature interview with Angel City FC head coach Alex Straus, who is about 2 months into his new gig in LA, coming over from Bayern Munich in the Frauen Bundesliga. He's got 5 games under his belt, and we felt now is a good time to sort of pause and get to know him a little bit more. We talk about where he's been in his coaching journey leading up to Angel City, how he's finding Los Angeles, the food he's been eating. That's an Easter egg for you, because we learned some very interesting things about the food in Norway and the relationship it has with some of the cuisine in Los Angeles, and much, much more. I cannot do this, of course, without my esteemed co-host, Meg Linehan. Meg, how are you doing?
Good. I mean, we survived rivalry weekend. I think we learned the lesson that we expected to learn, which is Cascadia still
that
rules
girl.
them all. But Tamerra, let's talk about, you were actually at Angel City, San Diego. What were the vibes on the ground?
Honestly, I have to preface this by saying, as a NorCal girl, I am just going to take that hat off for a second, because if you're from NorCal, you know how much effort it takes to say nice things about Southern California. But with that hat being off, the vibes were great. I mean, San Diego has almost like cliche beauty, like exactly the way that crest looks is how the sunsets looked every night. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how... And it's like the beauty also puts you at ease. It's just kind of crazy. I can't believe that this is like people's just daily lives being surrounded by that. But people showed up. I mean, it helps that Los Angeles is not too far away, even with traffic, 2+ hour ride. And I saw a good amount of Angel City fans, but of course, San Diego fans showed up in droves. I spoke to all kinds of people, families, fellow millennials like myself, Gen Z, everyone in between. People were really, really excited about this game. It was, twilight evening, so the sun was setting over Snapdragon Stadium, like just beautiful, immaculate vibes. And honestly, I think for all the understandable question marks around this particular SoCal rivalry, in terms of the game itself, I do think that it added maybe another tiny chapter to their story, because it ended in a draw. I think a draw was like a deserved result given both of those teams' performances. Lots of takeaways from both teams. I had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting watching rivalry games on TV and kind of like what the narratives are. Obviously, Alex Morgan is out here getting interviewed, and even she's kind of like, yeah, I feel like some of these rivalries are getting pushed on us a little bit. And, I thought back to Gotham, Washington Spirit, and just kind of like the round of applause for Trinity Rodman. And I was like... It's a little polite, guys, for a rivalry. Yeah. It's a little polite. So, and then you get into that Cascadia game, which is just pure nonsense, full of goals, full of everything that we expect from a Cascadia game. Pino up in the booth. It kind of had it all. And I don't think we're any different in terms of like where we thought we were for rivalries, but I do still think SoCal is further along than the East Coast vibe in terms of where it comes to rivalry. And I think proximity there really is helping on that front.
I think so too. I wonder if there's something to the fact that, yes, like the distances between New York and DC and Los Angeles and San Diego are more or less the same, but something I wonder if there's something to the fact that San Diego and LA are in the same state that kind of like draws them closer in a more intimate, like inherently competitive way that you don't really get from DC and New York, who are very much like that city or cities, New Jersey as well, in their respective states. I don't know. But I do think that the fact that Laura Harvey also sort of has the same opinion about SoCal being sort of next in line after Cascadia. It's like, who better to claim it than her,
She can be judge and jury. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think the other thing that I was really struck by just as I was watching is knowing that this was a weekend that had so much marketing behind it, right? Around the rivalries and the fact that we had 2 games on big CBS, obviously Ion, Amazon Prime, all of them. It was just... I always get so struck by after a summer of international tournaments and something like the Euros, right, where you have all the camera angles and this perfect grass and just like the quality of viewing experience, and then to like come back to the NWSL, I was just like, Yeah.
Sports
It's a little bit
Illustrated
of a
Stadium,
come
what are you
down.
doing, girl?
It's a little bit of a come down on that angle. And so I was kind of mentally thinking of, man, if you're coming from the Euros and you've watched these, good, high quality international games, and then you're trying to check out what the NWSL is all about, especially that Gotham Washington Spirit game that had, I think, a lot of, narratives coming in terms of European players, in terms of
Yeah.
Trinity Rodman. And then, like, you see that grass, you see the camera felt very saturated in a way that I found bizarre. It's something where I'm like, the viewing experience is not nearly what it is when you are viewing like the best of the best, and that still is just, I think, an investment thing.
That is such a good point. I mean, that field looked rough. The game itself was super choppy. It didn't help that Gotham had the red card. I mean, credit to
Yep.
them for walking out of
Yeah,
that
getting
with a
through it.
point.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the optimistic part of me wants to think that, we're still kind of working our way back from that summer break, which was super full. But there's also a part of me that worries a little bit that, I mean, maybe the league lost just a little bit of momentum. The production and like viewing experience is not really part of that, but I'm talking, I guess, more about like the sporting side. Thankfully, we've still got plenty of games to prove that theory. And I think that this is a good thing just to sort of pivot back to Angel City. I mean, with a new coach, new vision, all of these various year plans, depending on who you ask, it could be anywhere between 2 to 4, which we'll get into. I'm happy that some of these teams have this like long runway to the end of the season to see, how they're going to manifest some of these visions, which of course we get to with Alex Straus. But before we do that, make sure that you're following us on all of our socials at TA Fulltime, Instagram, not Blue Sky. But we also put our episodes on YouTube for those of you who like to take in your podcasts that way. You can also email us the more old school way, fulltime@theathletic.com. And speaking of which, I must give a special shout out to Becky in Colorado, who sent a beautiful email about how much she enjoys the show. And she actually listens to her episodes in the mountains. So this is also maybe
great
a call
photo.
out.
Great photo, Becky. We were all very jealous of that life. So
I didn't know where she was at first, and for a second I thought she was in Switzerland because it was like sort of during the Euros in the mountains. I was like, this is so beautiful. Colorado Rockies, you can't beat those either. But if anyone else has interesting places that they want to show us that they enjoy full time, please, our inbox is open. We love knowing how you guys are engaging with us, and of course, are always so grateful for everyone who listens and writes to us because we love hearing from you. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go too far because when we come back, we have our conversation with Angel City FC head coach Alex Straus. All right, we are thrilled to be joined by Angel City FC head coach Alex Straus. Alex, thank you so much for joining us on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. The weather in California is better than where I used to be before. So I wake up to sun every day, and then I'm happy.
You're rolling. Love to hear that. As a California native, that means a lot. We are very spoiled out here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compete with California sun. But I mean, Alex, let's talk about where you're from. Obviously, originally Norway. I mean, let's go back to the origin story for you. Like, what made you fall in love with football?
Oh, I don't think that's a very original story. It's like most kids when they are like 5, 6, 7 years old, you get dragged to the football practice with your parents and stuff like that. So from there on, I've been hooked, and then I had no ambitions about going into coaching. It was just a coincidence. But I played for my hometown club in the last period of my playing career. So obviously was one of the older players in the team, and when I retired, it asked me to stay on in the staff and help out. After 2 years, I went to a higher league, a better team, and so on for the next level, and I ended up in the top league in Norway for one of the best teams, and coached some of the best players in Norway in the men's side. I was then an assistant coach, and went back to my hometown, and by coincidence, the women's team, which is now called SK Brann, needed a new head coach, and they asked me if I was interested, and I said that was a good connection. I never had been very, how can I say, it doesn't matter which gender or whatever, it's football, and it's leading people to perform and be a part of a team is the most important thing. So it was a big, good opportunity for me. So I did that for 1 year, and then I got recruited by the federation, and I worked with the Norwegian Federation until the COVID struck. When you're a national team coach and you are impatient like me, and all of your games are across borders in other countries, it's difficult to get games. Then Bayern Munich came calling, which is one of the biggest teams in Europe. So that was very flattering for me. And so we became very successful there. We won the league title 3 years in a row, and the last year we won the treble with also the Super Cup and the Cup. So it was I'm very fortunate to be a part of that. But at the same time, when you have done that for 3 years, it was time for a new challenge and a completely different challenge. Then Angel City came calling, and I had opportunities to go to the America before, but the timing was not right. Now I felt like, okay, maybe the timing is right. And yeah, we spoke about California, and we spoke about the destination, and my wife was very interested in making that move. So it's a good thing for the whole family to come here and start something completely different when you have been in part of teams that sporting-wise has been very successful for the last 5 years. To come to a team and a club that has been very successful in other departments, but we need to lift the sporting department.
I mean, you mentioned that you are impatient and how that patience was tested, especially during the pandemic when you were with the Norwegian national team, weren't able to travel. I'm curious, how else would you describe other aspects of your personality, especially as a coach? And what have you sort of brought with you in terms of that persona when it comes to coaching Angel City now in a completely different league in the NWSL? And now that you are in Los Angeles, I'm curious, what new parts of your personality are you discovering now that you are waking up to beautiful sun and 70, 80 degree Fahrenheit weather every day? The beach is right there. Yeah, talk to us about your personality and how that's been shaped over the course of your career.
No, it is. I said, I'm impatient. I need people around me who is patient, and I think that's one of my traits. I think it's one of my skill sets is to understand the context of teamwork. That you need people around you that can balance your weaknesses as a person and control you a little bit. And I need control because I'm intense. It's a better word than impatient. I'm very intense. I know what I want to do, and I know how I want to get there. And I feel like it's my job to always to raise the bar, push the limits, and sometimes you need a bit of pushback. And I think I've got better at that as I got older to understand that part of it. But I think that if you don't have that in environments that wants to grow, and you don't have that growth mindset, and you don't have that understanding of the holistic whole of everything, that you have one part to fill and others that have other parts to fill. I think in a leadership position you get problems. So my job is to be intense. My job is to raise the standards. My job is to challenge people. I try to create those connections and those relationships with everybody in it. Like, okay, sometimes I can be very direct, sometimes I can do this, but I'm also the first one who can also raise my hands and say sorry when you go too far, maybe, and you can also be the one that I think I'm very good at give compliments to the players also and the people around me that do a good job. So to be open and transparent is very important for me, and that everybody feels safe around me. They know who I am. I don't have any agendas that they don't know. I don't have those big mood swings. I think that makes people around you insecure. So I think clarity is a very, very strong word for me.
I want to talk to you about leaving Germany before we really move into like fully Angel City, because it seemed like, I went back, I read your Instagram caption of just like there was a lot of emotion, but one of the last things you did with Bayern was World Sevens, which seemed like such a very specific but also very fun time. And I'm just wondering, like, what did you get out of that as your kind of like last action with that team, and bringing that energy maybe to California and being like, okay, like, what a farewell.
The context of Bayern it's very special to me because it is a team that was, Bayern Munich, and it's the name Bayern Munich, the brand. There's a lot of expectations, and it's some similarities to here, but also totally different. And you had a group of players that maybe had over time didn't feel that they fulfilled those expectations that people had, because we always got compared to the men's team, you know. And we, the women's team had never been successful in the same rate as the men's. So that journey was very special. To be like, Wolfsburg was the best team, pretty dominant also, and we overcome them, which I think we should, and I think Bayern should be the biggest and best team in Europe in the women, especially in Germany in women's game. And that was the task that was my task when I went there, and why they hired me to try to overcome Wolfsburg, and we did that. And we did it with a group of players. Of course, we had some additions of high talented players like Pernille Harder and players like that, Magda Eriksson, and more. But we also did it with a big group of young German players and a lot of players that's been there since before my time. So when we did that and we became historic and we won the championship, it was very big for me, and it still is. It's something that I hold very dear and close to my heart, and I will always go back to Munich and be welcome there. So that was very important for me, and to share that and then when we had that last World 7 tournament in Portugal, it was a great farewell tour for me with the players, and especially when we win it and you can leave the club with all those success that we had, all those titles, and a big chunk of money also, and then
that always helps.
When we won that tournament, so it's good for me to leave Bayern Munich in a better state than it was when I came. So for me that was really important. That's the same target I have when I came to Angel City, because it's, like I said, it's similar, different but similar. It's also a group of players here who's been there for a while, and we need to try to change the mindset and become a team that wins. But the difference is here. The difference is that we are not been the second best team in the NWSL for the last years. We have been a little bit further down the league, so the journey might be a little bit different, but we still want to get there as fast as possible.
Well, you mentioning mentality brings me to my next question, which is how that journey has been going with Angel City. I was at your last game against San Diego, and I was in the press conference. I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you talking about how one of the focuses after the loss to Seattle before the San Diego game was this idea of resilience, and how do you build that, and how do you maintain your fight if, for example, you concede a goal, which is what happened in that San Diego game. But the difference this time was that they were able to equalize, and the players also talked about that. So can you talk to us about how you've been implementing maybe a new mentality into this team, even as you're building trust with so many new players?
I think that mentality is a very difficult topic to discuss, because mentality is so big, and we talk about and there are so many layers. You know, it's different reasons why sometimes people cannot unleash their full potential, and because we are different individuals. So I think that we go in and I have the same approach to one player as I have to another one. They're completely different personalities, and we all want the same things,
right?
But you need to have a different approach. Habits is a very important thing for me, because I know that culture and habits drives performances that I've done during my experience, and we need to create habits and culture for these things, and that's the process. That's not going to happen over 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. That happens over months and years. I was very disappointed with the way we handled the game in Seattle, and we will have more of those games in this journey. So you're prepared for that, or we are prepared for that. But we played great for 35 minutes in that game, and exactly how we wanted to play. It looked like the team that we want to be, and then it evens out, because Seattle is also a very good team. We didn't have the attitude. We don't have the habits to come back and do those things and have that drive to do it. It looks like we just, in lack of a better description, it looked like, okay, the game was a little bit over when they scored a 1-0 goal. and then it becomes 2-0 and the game is over. So we emphasized that a little bit going into the San Diego game. Those type of game management is something that we need to learn, and that's also when I talk, instead of using the word mentality, it's about handling the moments of the game, have that game management. We need to be smarter with our positioning, and we need to be smarter with our balance when we go into the last 5 minutes of the game. So when they score, it was really, really tough, to be honest, because we done a lot of things. We worked really hard. The game was too transitional, I think, both for me and Jonas, what we like to have, but it was a high intensive transitional game. And then we came back and we create a big chance also where Sheridan saves, and we get the corner kick, which we eventually score on. And I think it's very interesting to see after the game. We just did a film this morning, the post-match review, and this I like, is after we scored a goal, the girls run back. They want to go
Nobody
again.
celebrated.
No, they just run back and want to go again because
I
they want
noticed
to win
that.
it. So that tells me with something there. That shows some attitude that we like, and that is the thing when we talk about mentality. I need to change, or we need to change some of the habits that's been there for 4 years and change a little bit the attitude and belief.
Alex, I want to ask you, just talking about, this kind of like cultural shift that you're talking about, right? Where the habits change. This roster is actually also kind of one of the most interesting of the NWSL, where you have a lot of really like big name veteran players. You think about the Kristen Press, Ali Riley, Sid LaRue, who's obviously been hurt, and then you have a whole bunch of, like June Endo in the middle there, and then a whole bunch of young talent. And so how are you seeing maybe this culture stuff come through in being able to lean on veterans who obviously know how to handle different game states, or, being able to bring in these younger players who are really hungry and who want results, someone like an Alyssa Thompson? Like, how are you trying to balance that part of what makes Angel City really such a specific roster in this league?
It's all about growth, it's a growth mindset. It's about how we add on things that we do, and we need to make some tweaks and change it. But that is, of course, the older, most experienced players that we have. They need to be the right persons. If you have experienced players, they need to be the right people, and I think we have people who can put standards, people who have experienced a lot of things in their career, and that is their responsibility now in their career, wherever it is now, because you mentioned some big names there, Kristen and Sid and more, who has been experienced a lot of things. They are coming to where they're coming. That we can never run away from the clock. That's a problem. I tried, but now my hair is getting so gray I cannot run away anymore. But the thing is, then you go into a different phase. It's so hopefully still they need to perform, but at some point you come to the end of the road, and but you can still have an impact in making. Yeah, we talk about Alyssa, Giselle, Riley, Tiernan, different Evelyn Shaws, those type of players. They can share all their experience and make them prepared for what they will be facing over the next years, even after our oldest players are gone. So maybe in a better way that they've been, or the same way that they've been taught by the older players back in the day when they were young. So I think to find that balance, I think, is very important, and that's some of the responsibility, I think, from also for the older players. But still, they want to compete, and still we also need. They're not here to be the coach, or they still here need to perform. But you need to make impact if you're 18 or if you're 36. We're still a professional football team, and it is a very interesting roster in that aspect. And I'm excited about the road going forward with these players and the additions that we will make, obviously, when we go forward.
Alex, one more football question for you before we talk about lifestyle in Los Angeles. Over the weekend, you mentioned that what you'd been told in terms of what to expect competing in the NWSL hasn't quite matched up with the reality, and that people were preparing you for something that is not as extreme as what you're experiencing. But in general, how have you found it in the league now that you've got a handful of games under your belt? You're building, you're implementing new habits with the team. But how do you find the league in general?
I think the league is very interesting. We played San Diego now, which is a top team. It was an even game, and it ended in a draw. Now we go to Utah, was in a different, and we still expect the same type of football games. That's what makes it interesting, which is completely unique. When we were in Germany, you know that there are 4 teams that on a good day can beat you, and then you have the rest. 8 teams in the league, even if you don't have a good day, you will still win,
Yeah.
And this is unique in the NWSL. What I said in the weekend is that there is a narrative, and I think both in America and also in Europe, we feed that narrative with saying that the game in America is just transitional and it's so high speed, and it's very intensive, but it's not that big of a difference than it is if you play the Champions League games that I've been playing for the last years in Europe. The intensity level, if I look at the numbers from the games, it's pretty similar. What makes it maybe sometimes for the viewers a little bit different is exactly what I talk about, the difference, the gap between the best and the teams on the lower half of the table is bigger than it is here. It's because it's even, the games are even, and that makes it interesting. So people go to watch San Diego against Angel City. You don't know the score before you go there. You know it can be. There is always a favorite, but it can go either way. And that excitement, I think, is a big thing. And then we have to do a lot of things in the league and around the league to keep it competitive with Europe, because it moves fast over there. Right? So there's a lot of things that we need to be aware of, that we keep our the talent here that is here, and we can bring the talent from the biggest talents from Europe to America as well, because also around the games, when you play in the stadiums, everywhere we go, you play in great facilities, great stadium, great experience, great atmosphere in every game. So that we are far ahead of the games that we always have this in Germany and in Europe as well, but it's more like happenings, Here it is weeks in, weeks out. So I think we have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, totally agree. Alex, I want to, one of the more fun things that we always like to talk to new folks who are coming in at NWSL is just like what your experience has been so far. First of all, you're in LA, home of some of the best tacos in America. Like, what are you eating? Have you gone out and like found a European food mart, or are you fully trying to embrace the Los Angeles life?
I'm going with an LA Dodgers caps now, so I'm a full.
Wow, you're immersed.
I become what do you say?
Angelino.
Yeah, what do you call it?
An Angelino.
Angelino, yeah, that's what I know. But when I was in Norway, big in the north, my favorite food is tacos. So it's good for me to eat tacos. So I love that. I don't try to come here and eat European food. I try to come here. It's so much more to offer, especially here when you're so close to Mexico as well. So it's good food influences. So I really, really enjoy the food.
Alex, I got to ask you, what is a taco in Norway like? I mean,
it's a little bit different.
I can imagine.
Well,
go on.
Spicy with meats and beans and stuff. So it's still good.
Okay.
But
we'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I would honestly, I would have to try it. I feel like if I went to Norway, I'd be like, okay, well now.
In Norway you have this every Friday. We call it the Friday taco. So all families, when they sit around in the evening, I don't know how it is here, but you have like a family.
Here it's on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. We have Fridays, and everybody eats tacos, even in Norway.
That is amazing. The influence of tacos, the universality of tacos.
Yeah, but it's good food. It works everywhere.
Truly, as long as you know how to flavor the meat or whatever's going into that tortilla, you're halfway there.
Yeah. Alex, one of the other things that we want to ask you about is you've got generally a lot of friendship bracelets, etc. going on. You've got the tattoos. Can you give us some behind the scenes here about what's going on?
Yeah, and this is given to me by fans. Every year we won. There was one fan in Germany who made this every time, and it says champion,
Oh,
and then the
wow.
last one says double champion. So it's just that so I keep it on as a respect for her when people sit down and take the effort and spend the time to do something for me like that. I will wear it. I wear it with my finest suits in the finest parties because that's what's important for me. It is people, and when people have time for you and spend time and energy for you, I think it's very important to respect that.
That
And the
also makes
jewelry is different. This is my wedding ring and stuff, and my father's ring. So it's a little bit like that, family stuff. The tattoos was a mistake. No, I'm joking. 18, 19 years old. So no, but it's still a part of me, and there's some things are there. So good.
And I know that you've been very busy since arriving in LA, but have you had a chance to get out and explore the city, whether that's taking a surfing lesson at the beach, going to Griffith Observatory, anything like that?
Yeah, I've done all of those tourist
Oh, great.
points. I love the Griffith Observatory. I love that. I've been there 2 or 3 times.
Nice.
I think that's very nice in the evening when it's dark and look over the city. So I've done that, and of course all of these Hollywood things, and done all of these things that you have to do. That I did in the break in the summer a lot to do all of these things. And today I have my family over from Norway now. Today I'm at work and they are in Disneyland, so they can do all of these things that they need to do. And the city has so much to offer, and I love Malibu. Malibu is my favorite place. So even to go out and eat and walk my dogs on the beach in the evening, it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place. So hopefully I can experience a lot of concerts. And after the season, I have a target. I will not leave LA without learning how to surf. So I've tried many times. I started learning, but I always never saw it through. But hopefully after the season, I will have a week or 2 or 3 that I will do a course and before I go home for Christmas. But I don't think you can live nearby Malibu and waste that opportunity to learn how to surf.
Yeah, surfing in Malibu is like walking. You just need to know how to do
That's how
it.
it is with us with skis, and that's none of the American people here in California and LA says that they're used to the skiing. They just don't know.
You just got to come visit me. You just got to come visit me, Alex. Up in the Northeast, and if you're out in Utah now that Denver's in the league, you're gonna have plenty of opportunities to go skiing. It's just not in LA.
Not in LA, no.
Well, Alex, we definitely appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us and all of this. I truly am looking forward to all of your surfing updates once the season is over.
Yeah,
but in the
please share.
meantime, we'll be watching and just excited to have you in the NWSL.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Meg, what a wide spanning conversation that was. I mean, personally, as a rambler and a yapper, I love when people take questions in so many different directions. And because Alex Straus is so new to this league, I feel like it was sort of necessary that we hear so much about his life leading up to this point, how he's been enjoying LA, his vision for the team. I have to say, when he was talking about, terms like energy as being these broad concepts and how he prefers to focus more on habits and actions, I was like, I don't know how well that's going to go over in a city like LA, where like energy is like the national vibe or like the state vibe, the way that there's like a state flower.
Right.
Angelinos and Californians in general, we take our energy very seriously.
Yeah.
But when he started explaining himself, I kind of bought into it a little bit more. But what stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is so interesting of bringing him in for this team. Again, asking about that roster and the roster construction and the various ages at play, right? Of just trying to get a sense of like how he's approaching this team that has its foot in a lot of places age-wise and veteranship-wise. And it's going to be really interesting, I think, moving forward because, yes, we talked to Mark Parsons earlier this season about the long-term project he envisions for Angel City, but there is still pressure to win, right? Like, this is such a team that is so successful off the field around the business side, and the pressure has always been on for them to perform around the sporting side. And they started pretty strong this season, and then they've kind of plateaued. But what I think is really interesting is just having a new head coach come in, get the break, right? Be able to kind of introduce himself, the concepts, the energy, the habits, knowing that those aren't things that you can change overnight, right? And so I think seeing that fight from them in the San Diego game to get that equalizer late, right? Like, that's probably not something that we always would be guaranteed to see from Angel City. So it does feel like things are trending in the right direction, but probably not as fast as everyone would like. But that's just kind of the nature of a new coach sometimes, I guess.
Totally. And maybe not even as fast as he would like. I thought it was interesting how forthcoming he was about his own impatience as a person and how important
I identify with that. So that
you
was
know,
a real...
But the self-awareness too, right? Because right after saying that, he said it was that much more important for him to surround himself with people who do practice patience, maybe in greater capacities than he does. So the fact that he is thinking about what it means to build a team, not just the players on the roster, but staff who have these complementary skill sets, to make up for what someone else might lack or is working on, I thought was really, really interesting. And I also found it, when I'm thinking about, what else might have drawn him to this job, the fact that he was like the Venn diagram sort of Bayern Munich and Angel City that he sort of described was really fascinating, because you have this storied institution in Germany with that has just this culture of dominance and winning, who at the time that he was hired were technically like in a low point, i.e. second in the table.
Place.
God forbid. But they're still making Champions League.
How dare they?
Right. And, has all of this on the business end. They are a certified brand in world football. And then he comes to Angel City, which does share a lot of that, even though they are way younger than Bayern Munich, but are not getting the results and have not been in similar places that Bayern Munich has historically been in the Frauen Bundesliga table, but still with that imperative to win relative to what that meant to each club. So when I think about the overlaps between those two teams, I also, just from a journalistic standpoint, people like him really offer the space to put even those two clubs in conversation with each other in ways that we might not otherwise. So for all of the movement and sort of increased international presence that we're seeing in this league, not just on the coaching side, but with players as well, I'm really drawn to the ways that it's sort of reframing the way that we think about growth, the way that we think about competition, what it means to build a roster. And personally, I think that if there weren't so many interesting tangents that he was taking us on, we might not have gotten here.
Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, too, this is a guy who's not used to losing, right? And that's through basically every season that he's had as a head coach of a women's team. And so I think that is going to be kind of an interesting test, again, of someone who self-described as not necessarily having a ton of patience. This is a league where, for the most part, you're going to lose games, right? Unless you're Orlando Pride 2024. You're going to lose games. And so it's just a matter of how you use those losses. And I think that's going to be a new and interesting challenge for Alex Straus. And I think one that's going to be really interesting for us to watch. And then, we're going to have to check in with him at the end of the year, too, and find out how his surfing lessons went. Angel City, you got to make content. Sorry, we need it.
It'll be the off season. I feel like the social teams will have a little bit of time for that. Obviously, he's going to have to celebrate with some tacos. Now, whether they're Norwegian tacos or LA tacos, anybody's guess. We can probably guess. But Norwegian tacos, if anyone listening has tried a taco in Norway on a Friday, because they do Taco Fridays there.
Taco Friday.
Cultural literacy here, people. Please let us know, because Meg and I have so many questions about that.
It's so funny because I remember going to France to the World Cup in 2019, and there's a chain in France called O Tacos.
Know what you're talking about?
O
With
Tacos,
a K, right?
No, I think it's spelled with a C, but they are not in any way tacos. They in terms of form and content, they are not tacos. And Steph Young and I went late one night thinking okay, we can go get tacos, incredible. And then we were this is a beefy boy full of food, but it is not a taco in any way, shape, or form. So I do enjoy the European mind trying to comprehend the taco.
I could practically see the meme appear when you said the European mind trying to comprehend a taco. I love it. Yeah, and I mean, the last thing I'll say about Strauss is, by that same token, you know, we've talked about the losses and the challenge of transitioning to this league, but at the moment, he's also hunting for his first win with the club. So I think that whenever and however that happens, we'll offer just as much to glean. Because it's yet to happen, and we know how hard it is to win in this league. So in terms of his vision and his journey with the team, the fact that they're talking about, you know, resilience and habits and mentality, I want to think that when they do get that first win with him, it'll be a really interesting, like, merging of all of these things that they've been working on. Remains to be seen, but it could happen at any moment, as we know, in this chaotic league. And that's our show. We hope that you enjoyed that conversation with Alex Straus. Of course, plenty of games to look forward to this weekend. Make sure that you tune in to Full-Time Focus so that you are all prepped for the chaos ahead. And in the meantime, just as a reminder, The Athletic has partnered with Yahoo Sports to deliver the very, very best coverage of women's sports, of which, I mean, the slate is just growing. All the reporters I know who cover women's sports to-do lists are just expanding by the second. So all the more convenient to have a women's sports hub where you can catch it all. Make sure that you check out sports.yahoo.com/women-sports. The link, as always, will be in the show notes. And this has been Full Time. I am Tamerra, and if you need me, you can find me. Honestly, I just finished a book this morning with my coffee, and I'm on the hunt for a new one. So shoot me your recs on Instagram, Blue Sky. Find me there.
I am Meg Linehan. I am also on Instagram, Blue Sky. I'm trying to find things to do. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of baby prep happening here. The countdown is on. So we're post Vermont Green right into like true baby prep mode. So if you've got, I don't know, good recipes for that first month, yeah, let me have them.
Meal prepping up a storm. I love it. And I just love the good news rolling in for you, Meg. We are so thrilled for you and your family. This podcast is not possible without our esteemed producer, Theo Lloyd Hughes, our video producer, Leah Griffin, and our executive producer, Emily Olson, who is just back from a vacation herself. Welcome back, Emily. Thank you all, as always, for listening, and we will see you soon.